أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون وبعد فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل بدعة وكل ضلالة وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله Alhamdulillah, Brother Mohammad asked me to talk about Rasulullah, the importance of following his prophet and following the Sunnah. So this, I guess that's the basic thing. But of course, we will connect it with my overall theme since I've been here. We've been talking about values, ideals, and principles that made the Ummah great, that made the Ummah honorable, that made the Ummah the leaders of the world. And so when we look at our situation today, our position is not of greatness or honor. Not position of leadership. We're the lowest on the totem pole. Become the leadership in the world today, the world in global issues. You find the Muslims at the bottom. You find the Muslims as being the most hated people. You see, most confused. Why? Because we don't follow the deen. We don't follow the book of Allah. We don't follow the Sunnah of the Prophet. We're busy following the ways of others. You see, and so we're weak as a Ummah, and that weakness has caused us to be, in a position of dishonor, debasement, subjugation. You see, this is what's happening. Confusion. You see, and so this is why people are thinking, recapturing, the values. Values meaning beliefs, ideals, principles that made us great. And we talked about, Imam, faith. It's faith from A to Z. When we say Imam, we know what Imam is. It's like Allah mentioned in the Quran to the Prophet. Before prophethood, the Prophet didn't know what Imam was. You see, so Allah taught him what Imam, to believe in Allah. You see, to believe in the angels, and the books, and the messengers, and their judgment, life after death, the predestination of Allah. So he taught the Prophet what Imam was, and that Imam was belief, in the heart, and what we say on our tongue, and what we do in terms of our actions. That's what Iman is. So we can't say you have Iman, you don't act, you don't practice. You see? So all of that is connected to Iman. So when we say Iman as a value, we talk about all of that. Believing in the unseen, and the judgment, life after death, and what takes place in the grave. That part of the grave and all that. All of that is connected with Iman. So when I say Iman as a value, you see that we need to recapture it. That's what I'm talking about. All of it. The early Muslims, the Sahaba, and the Tabi'een, they had real Iman. You see what I'm saying? And that Iman, inspired them. You see? So we talked about that. We talked about having taqwa, fearing Allah. The consciousness of Allah, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, one of the great scholars of the early period of Islam, he said that taqwa is to put a barrier between you and the anger of Allah, and the displeasure of Allah. That's how you find taqwa. He said, by obeying the commandments of Allah, and by staying away from the prohibitions of Allah. That's what taqwa is. To avoid Allah's anger, to avoid Allah's displeasure, by putting up that barrier. So when we obey the commandments of Allah, and we stay away from the prohibitions of Allah, that's the barrier that prevents Allah from being angry with you, because Allah wants you and me to obey Him. He wants us to stay away from the things that He said to stay away. So this is what we mean when we say value. So we've been talking about that. And so we want to and having good character, honesty, and politeness, being merciful, being generous, being forgiving. These are some of the things that we want, that makes a good character. And the Prophet So that's what we want to pick up from tonight. We want to talk about, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being close to him, being close to his sunnah, and following his way. And so Allah Ta'ala said, like that kind of like Umbi Rasulullah, who's going to listen. We need the message of Allah. Beautiful pattern of conduct. One of the amazing things about SubhanAllah, the example of the Prophet and the guidance that he brought us, it covered the entire life. Man, everything that we need to know and everything we need to do, we see the Prophet. He didn't leave out anything. Okay? And it's why perfection in terms of his character, perfection in terms of his lifestyle, and what we should do as Muslims, followers. You see what I'm saying? He established the perfection and the completeness. You see? And so we don't have to go outside of that. We don't have to go outside his sunnah. The guys. And we go through some of these examples, And so Allah perfected and completed the deen. You see? At the advent of the Prophet Muhammad. That's why he said, this day we perfected you for your religion. This day have I perfected you your religion, completed my favor upon you, and chosen Islam to be your deen. We know this verse. Okay? So his conduct, his application of the guidance of Allah is perfect. But we take things for granted as Muslims, unfortunately. We start looking around and some other guidance. And it's unfortunate. That's why we're in this state today. The reason we're in this state today because we have failed. We have failed to follow the Prophet. And so I think this is what this talk is about tonight. It is to appreciate Rasulullah and following him. You see? The Prophet said, I leave you to things if you follow him, you never go astray. The book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah. So all the time we talk about the Sunnah, we talk about physical things a lot of times. How we comb our hair, and how we wear our pants, and how we wear our beard, and he's going to say that. Everything that he did, and that he encouraged us to do. You see? So let me just talk about some examples in terms of the Prophet. The perfection of the Prophet being upon him and the things that he brought us. But it's always fascinated me about the Prophet being upon him. Is that we take the example of Salah. Get Salah. It's paper. What we've been blessed with. And we know the Prophet was given the Salah and the way to make the Salah when he made the mihrab. I took him above the heavens. You know what I'm saying? Met with him privately and gave him the Salah. The Salah, Allah, Aqim Salah, it is a system of prayer. It ain't just one thing. It ain't just like the Christians or the non-Muslims do. They say, prayer, we pray. See, we hold our hands up and we hold our hands like this and we say, oh God, and give me whatever we want. You see, a lot of say prayer, that's Aqim Salah. Establish the Salah. It's an entire system. Now what is so fascinating about this system of prayer that the Prophet ﷺ gave us? Where did he get this from? You see, this is a proof. This is really a proof of who Rasulullah ﷺ really was. A messenger of God, a messenger of Allah. Because him as a human being, he did not make this system up on his own. Where did he get the information to put in place all the things that we do in prayer? The choice of how you pray is not left up to you and me. Not left up to us. It wasn't left up to Abu Hanifa. It was not left up to Imam Shafi. It was not left up to Imam Malik. It was not left up to Imam Ahmad. All they could do is give what Rasulullah said in terms of certain things. He said, you understand about certain things in the movement, but they have ideas. So they learned from the Prophet. See? So the Salah is an entire system, man. All right, and it's a proof of the Prophet that this was divine. This is divine. So when you pray, think about prayer like this. To establish the prayer, we learn from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In order to pray, you got to be in wudu. Think about it. Wudu. Where did that come from? What I got to do in prayer? There is no prayer without wudu. Think about it. So Allah revealed in the Quran that the Prophet got to make wudu. Then the Prophet went on to explain how to make the wudu in detail. Think about it. It starts with what? The niyat, the intention. Having the proper niyat to make the wudu. And then you got to wash certain parts of the body and all of that. Can the Prophet come up with that on his own and put it in place where we can read it and understand it and follow? The whole deen, the whole religion of Islam, you see, is like that. You see, every detail, nothing was left for you and me to figure out what to do. So when we embrace Islam, or when you grow up in Islam, all right, you're taught everything. You understand that the Prophet said about prayer. But if you examine the books of the so-called guidance of every religion on the planet, it could not match what you and I have and what we was given by Rasulullah. That's why following the Sunnah is so important. You see, so when we make the prayer, we make the wudu. And then when it's time to make the prayer, we make the niyat to make the prayer. And then so again, you know, in the system of prayer, there's things that we have to do. You know, be a AlAmin. You see, this is the Sunnah, man. Right? We start there, and then we put our hands on our chest, on our nables, you see, right hand over the left. How meticulous, how meticulous, how detailed. This is what the Prophet did, this is what he taught us. All the hadiths in Bukhari, all the hadiths in Muslim, Abu Dawud, Imam Tirmidhi, all the hadith collections, they talk about these things in detail that we do in prayer. I don't know. This is the Sunnah of the Prophet. You see? Right on down to making the introductory prayer. SubhanAllah wa bihamdi, wa tabarak asmuka, wa ta'ala ta'ala, wa la ilaha khayrun. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Right? And then, whatever surah or ayahs we recite after that. Then we say, Allahu Akbar, we bow. You see? Subhan Rabbiyal Azim. See? 3 times or more to become Sami Allahu liman hamida. Rabbana lakal hamd. So think about it. These details that the Prophet ﷺ put in place, so meticulous. The prayer you have is perfect. The things that you say in the prayer is perfect. You don't say what you want to say. Here you come up, and you're going to make such things. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. All of you. All over the world. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. There's no confusion in that. We come up, and we go back down. Subhana Rabbiyal. And we stand up, and then we repeat. And at the end of the prayer, we may touch your hood, and then we say salam on the Prophet, and then we say salam. You really got to think about that ritual, or those acts that you do in the prayer, what you say. It's fascinating. That's following the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're blessed. You see, it's a perfect prayer. Because it has divine origin. It's not man-made. See? It's not man-made. The Prophet, he made it up. See? He was divinely inspired. You see, to put these words in the prayer so you can have it. Then even after the prayer, when he made the tasbih, subhanallah, subhanallah, you know, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. What you say afterwards, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum, la ta'khudhuhu sinatun. The thing that we say after the prayer. So we don't have to add, we don't have to make no bid'ah, we don't have to add no new stuff. We go to the Bukhari hadith, it's like Muslim hadith, that's what the Prophet did. Let's do what he did. That's why bid'ah is so hateful in Islam, because you spoil the Sunnah. You spoil the Sunnah. Okay? Because the Sunnah of what the Prophet did is sufficient for us. So no shaykh, no Imam, you something to do this. But if you want to just pray on your own heart, say you go into a corner, you may do it, fine. But you don't have to add, because the system of the salah, the institution of the salah has been complete and perfect. Think about it. This is fascinating. You know? And that's what we can always use the salah to challenge even non-Muslims. You see what I'm saying? About the perfection and the truthfulness of Islam. You see? And this is what we've been doing over 1,400 years, man. Think about it. Over 1,400 years, but a lot of time we take it for granted. The non-Muslims don't have, they don't know what prayer is. You see? It's what we're talking about in the system of prayer, the Friday prayer, the Jumu'ah. All the rules of Jumu'ah was given by the Prophet. All of the rules of the Eid, Fitr, and Adha was given by the Prophet. All of the rules of making the janazah, prayer when someone dies, was given by the Prophet. But no prophet before Prophet Muhammad left that kind of guidance for his ummah. Say, no, Ibrahim, even if I great prophets of strength, Ibrahim, no, Musa, Isa, nothing. Think about it. The perfection and the completeness of the religion. You see, so all of the prayers are things. But to say, it's not left up to you. So it is not the divine origin. And so we need to learn to appreciate, these things, and follow, the Prophet in this way. We're not, unprecedented in human history. That's what fascinates about the Sunnah of the Prophet and the acts of worship that he demonstrated for us. That's in our books of hadith. This is why we revere and respect our ulama, the scholars of the early people of Islam that preserve these things for us. They preserve the Sunnah. The books of the Sunnah are so important. Preserve this for us. Okay? And so again, the whole system of prayer, but all the acts of worship is the same way. You take, siyam, fasting. Usually when Ramadan comes, the non-Muslims, they always say, Imam, you not family fast. We Christians, we fast too. We don't eat for half a day. Okay? And but we drink. We get thirsty, we can drink. I said, no, we don't eat nothing for a whole day. And we don't drink either. Huh? You don't drink either? You see? So their concept of fasting, it's not complete. We have the perfect fast. We fast from here from sun up to sundown. We don't eat, we drink. And not only do we eat and drink, we have to be very, very careful of our conversation. You see, we can't get angry. We can't be arguing and fighting people. You see what I'm saying? All right? We have to guard our tongues and what we say. You see, because the whole idea of fasting is, there's a fast of the heart too. We're trying to internalize, what I'm saying, this whole system of fasting, because the whole idea behind fasting is that you may learn how to feel Allah. So you may learn how to be pious, God-fearing. You see, so the Prophet said there's no need of one giving up one food and drink if he doesn't give it this false talk, lying and bad speech. You see, so there's a conduct that goes with fasting. How you act, how you behave, you see what I'm saying? All this is what the Prophet taught us. All this is part of the Sunnah of the Prophet. So even the fasting, it's a system. You see what I'm saying? And so when we break fast or when we begin to fast, the etiquette, if you will, of fasting, having suhoor and then making the iftar, all of that is given to us by the Prophet. You see? And so, all of these details in every act of worship that we do, zakat, no, zakat is charity. No. Zakat is special charity, not just charity. Sorry, brothers. You're in good time. But zakat is a special, so you have to let people, it's a special charity. It's a mandated. Money in your wealth reach a certain minimum that the rich and wealthy people got to pay. So people need to understand that. You see? But Allah had mandated that. You see, the Prophet went into the details of how it's done and what should be paid and how much wants to pay for zakat. And then Allah had given different items that zakat is for and so forth and so on. It's just amazing. It's amazing that we think of so detailed in the book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah. This is what we have in our possession. The same thing with Hajj, making Hajj, you know what I'm saying? All of the rights of Hajj, that had been prescribed based upon the Prophet and what he taught us. So it's very, very important, One cannot be a Muslim or a good Muslim, he does not follow the Sunnah of the Prophet. And in following the Sunnah of the Prophet, you studying the Sunnah of the Prophet, you naturally study the life of the Prophet Muhammad. And you naturally get close. You find the people that love the Prophet the most is the one that loved the Sunnah. Everything he did. And that's how we're supposed to be, inshallah. When we can connect with that and be about that, Allah will change our situation. Whatever the Prophet did, like Allah said, whatever he gives you, take whatever, he forbids you to leave it alone. And that's the test for us. That's the test for us. You see, we have the Prophet again with a divine guide. When we move on, we talk about following the Sunnah of the Prophet, Aqidah, our Islamic beliefs, Imam, Tawheed, Aqidah, all of these issues, you see, they were revealed to the Prophet. He was taught by Allah what Imam was, because he didn't know what it was before. He was taught about the Tawheed of Allah, the meaning of, singling out Allah in worship. Allah revealed, revelation to the Prophet the Quraysh, they believed in Allah. Most people don't understand that. They believed in Allah. The problem was, they had the shirk. There was the shirk. There was the association of power with Allah. That was the issue. You see? That's why Allah, the meaning of many verses in the Quran, and when it is said that who is it that created the heavens and the earth? It can bring down the rain that causes the crops to grow so that they can eat, get benefit from. Surely the people will say Allah. You see? But Allah would say, the meaning in the Quran, then why are you following these idols? See? So people would have the shirk because of many different reasons, intercessors, and they're going to get as close to Allah, and so forth and so on, you see. But Allah explained all these things in the Quran. No, we don't need no intermediaries. We don't need no intercessors. You go directly to Allah. You sing them, you're not alone. You have to worship. So this whole idea of Tawheed, and Allah explained this, you see. Unfortunately, sometimes, Muslims become confused. You understand? Over the issues of Tawheed. You see, but just pay attention to the Prophet, and pay attention to the companions and how they worship. They didn't question certain things. They just believed as it was revealed. It became very, very clear to them. Now Allah described himself in the Quran. So that we won't be confused. I always tell when people ask me about how I became Muslim, and some of the children I spoke to want to ask how I became Muslim. And I told them, to make a long story short, I grew up in America in the turbulent 60s, where black people, African American people like me, we were fighting against white racism. You know what I'm saying? White folks, they enslaved our people and brought us, to America. And over the hundreds of years, again, we got our freedom again, the hatred and dislike and demeaning black people. You see what I'm saying? Y'all know what I mean. And so Allah raised up certain people who fought against that, And people that you may be familiar with, AlAmin, Malcolm X. He was a hero of black people because he stood up and he fought the white, power structure. We talk about apartheid in Africa. We experienced that in Africa. That's what it was like for us. Okay, for those who don't understand our history. So Allah raised up people like AlAmin, Malcolm X, who became a Muslim, of course, you say. All right? And he fought against this. Now, Martin Luther King Jr., he was not a Muslim, he was a Christian, but he loved his people, so he stood up against this racism. See? And H. Rap Brown, I have to mention him. H. Rap Brown, another man who became a Muslim, became a prominent Imam also. Who stood up. So in the 60s, they fought against this. And there were many others in the organization. I remember as a young person growing up in America, and being, affected by this white supremacist attitude. You go to the church, and the image in the church, of God Almighty is that God is blind. Because if the Christians believe that God is a man. All right? whether they believe that God is a man other than Jesus, or they believe that Jesus was God, God was Jesus. But the image of God Almighty, Allah, was a white man. Okay? So that's connected to racism. See? And the angels, we don't know what angels look like, but they draw pictures of angels. So in the church, on the wall, and on the windows, the angels are white. Blonde hair, blue eyes. You know, so they draw pictures of prophets like Jesus and his disciples and Abraham and all the images white. You see? Again, that whole idea of glorifying white and belittling anything dark. And so, in the 60s, there were different movements and different people flipped that, turned it around. And they said, God is black. They said, Jesus was black. Mary, the mother of Jesus, was black. So they changed that. Many organizations. And one prominent organization was the Nation of Islam. Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan. You heard of them? See? All right, but it didn't go over well with a lot of people, but that's what they did. Okay? And so in that climate, subhanAllah, I met a Muslim. He said he was an Orthodox Muslim. I said, Orthodox? What is an Orthodox Muslim? They didn't say a Sunni Muslim. They didn't say Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. He said, but we didn't use those terms back then. He said, I'm an Orthodox, meaning a traditional Muslim who followed the way of Mohammad, that was born in the year 570. That's how you define it. I said, okay. And I said to him, brother, I just got two questions. Number one, what color is God? What color is God? That's what the brother said. What color is God? He said, God ain't got no color. No one knows what God looks like. You said, God ain't no man. Wow, the revelation said. Okay? And then he recited some verses from Quran. Qul Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad. MashaAllah, I gave you a lesson in Tawheed, and it was way in 1969. He said, I understood it. Wow, God is one. He don't have no children, you know, he's not born that means he ain't no man. But I got put a little group of one now, and nothing's like him. Anything you think about anything, he ain't. I never had such a lesson before. I was impressed. I was impressed with that. And then the second question was, what color was Adam? The first man. Everybody around time out, the father of mankind was white and so forth and so on, and other people saying God, the first man on the earth was black, and the climate, trying to fight against white racism. So the brother answered the question from Islamic perspective. He said, I don't know. For sure, I don't think nobody really knows, but I can follow. To know what color was the first man, you see. But then he said something very interesting that touched me. And he said, but it doesn't matter. Because Allah created Adam and he created his wife, Hawa, and said, from these two, all the creation came from. And they came out in different colors and different ethnic, nationalities, you know what I'm saying? And then he quoted the verse of the Quran, the English meaning is, surely we created you from a male and a female and made you into many nations and tribes that you may come to know each other, not to despise each other. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. See? So when he related that verse, all the race kind of, they kind of went out the window. And I understood. And that's when I became Muslim. I never heard nothing like that before. It was unique. You see, that's not so much it's not your color or these things, but it's your piety, your righteousness, and your good behavior. You see. Okay? So again, this whole idea of having correct aqeedah and understanding that, the Islamic beliefs, you see, all of that came to us, like I said, the correct understanding, of Allah, who Allah is, and how Allah describes himself in the Quran, Allah, And all we have to do, we want people to have, Imam, what is the best book on Aqidah? Quran. Quran, best book on Aqidah. If you want to know your Lord, Qul Allahu Ahad, that's one. Ayatul Kursi, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa. You know what I'm saying? And the last two verses of the Surah Hashr, Allah speaks about his attributes and his qualities. You know what I'm saying? So, and Allah always mentions his names and qualities, so we can connect with it and who he is. So people have a confusion who God was, whether he's a man or what company he was, so forth and so on. You know, again, all of this was given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to explain all these things to the people. You know what I'm saying? And by extension, explain it to mankind. So it's all in the book of Allah. That's why we have to follow the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, when a thing was revealed to the Prophet concerning Imam, concerning our Islamic beliefs, concerning Tawheed, and whatnot, the Prophet related to us, and that was it. And the early Muslims, they followed that. They didn't go into no detail of how. But Allah said that He created heaven and earth in 6 days, and He ascended above His arsh. And they said, well, how did He get it? And I think back when I became a Muslim, you know, I read those verses, you know, hundreds of times. You know what I'm saying? Well, Allah, He created, you know, the merciful Allah, you know what I'm saying, ascended above His throne. You know what I'm saying? That was nothing on the debate. I read that, said, Allah above His throne. SubhanAllah. And accepted it like that. See, you know, that belief, just like that. Allah, where's Allah above His throne? I never thought anything else. I never thought that He's everywhere. He's with us here, but in His seeing, His knowledge, but not Himself. Never understood that. These became issues later on, maybe 3 decades after I became Muslim. People come out talking about this issue. I never heard it before. I just read it go on. Well, the companions of the Prophet, they believed, they accepted what Allah revealed to the Prophet, and what the Prophet explained. They said, you know, that was it. They didn't go no further. They didn't go into how does Allah descend? See, the Prophet explained these things to us. Brother, the last part of every night, Allah descends. Allah. And said, where are those who are praying to me? Where are those who are calling, you know, that I may listen to them, or that I may answer their prayer? Where are those who seek Him out forgiveness, that I may forgive them? This is what we make care of Allah, you know, in Tahajjud. You see, we don't ask, how did Allah descend? We never even thought that. But they know people begin to inject these kinds of things and confuse people. But the Sahaba, you know Hadith and Bukhari, Muslim, you know, all of the Sahih, he said to them, even in books of Hadith, you know, that on this Hadith, they never read anything like any of the companions when they ask how does Allah, you never read such, you will find no explanation whatsoever in how Allah descended the last earth. None whatsoever. So how do they alone get caught up into that? MashaAllah, that's a whole other issue, all right? But again, the Prophet taught us that. That's all we need to know. Allah descends, alhamdulillah, in the manner befitting His Majesty. And the Prophet did it. He didn't elaborate. He didn't interpret it. He brought it to us and we accepted it. See, this is the blessing of having, you know, having these things defined for us about the Prophet ﷺ, and us following the Prophet like a companion did. And so we go on and on, you know, again, Islamic beliefs, you know, the detailed beliefs of our faith. You know what I'm saying? Our theology, our Aqidah. The Prophet did that. We don't have to make stuff up. I remember, you take the Day of Judgment, right? You and I are experts, and pretty much experts on this subject of dying and what happens when we die. And what happens between that time and the day of Yom Kippur. We are experts. Here's an example. I remember about 10 years ago, no, about 20 years ago, I'm coming out of my apartment in Brooklyn, and there was 1 man, 2 women, Jehovah's Witnesses. You know what a Jehovah's Witness is, right? And they at my doors, I'm coming out, and wow, excuse me, sir. And they had their magazine, and their feature article was Life After Death. And then the student said, do you know what's your belief? Do you believe in life after death, that mankind will be raised up and get count, and like that there is a life beyond this life? Oh, I said, yes, I do believe in this life after death. And I was talking, hadith after hadith, and when a person dies, the angel will question him, and who's your Lord? And so, this whole situation. And I'm talking about the Day of Judgment, how man will be raised up, and how there's a hellfire, and there's a paradise, and the good. Oh, and I went on for about 15 minutes straight. I didn't take a breath. And they said, man, what do we do? They started stepping back. I said, they couldn't challenge me. They couldn't touch me. You see, and I'm no scholar. This is just my basic belief as a Muslim. We believe in honesty, we believe in their judgment, we believe in life after death. All right? So they kind of said, sir, what religion do you follow? I said, I'm a Muslim. They were shocked. They said, we no Muslims believe that. I said, yes, we believe like all of the prophets of God taught like after death. So, but they were running from it. They didn't want to dialogue no more. They said, hey, man, it's someone to do what he was talking about. But they believe the things I was saying now. This guy when we talking about, we ain't got nothing to get him. Okay? All right. So, but where did I get that from? I didn't make that up. See? All I did was paraphrase the hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him. The Prophet Mohammad, so we study these things, we learn these things. Again, this is following the sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and I keep it. You know? So we can talk about life after death, their judgment. You see what I'm saying? How one day eventually we will see Allah in their judgment. You say that? Well, I didn't make it up. The Prophet said, the companions asked the Prophet in the hadith, Ya Rasulullah, will we see Allah on the day of judgment? And the Prophet said, do you have any problem seeing the full moon on a bright night? And they said, no. He said, likewise, you will see Allah. You see what I'm saying? So when we say something like that, yeah, let's see Allah. The belief is yes. And you're speaking with some strong knowledge. You know, from who? The Prophet Muhammad. And so following him in these issues, in these things that we read now, this is following the sunnah of the Prophet. You see what I'm saying? And following his way, all right? And learning to appreciate him, you know what I'm saying, for this knowledge. So what Muslims don't do today, we don't follow the sunnah. We follow something else, okay? And so these are the things that we reflect on. So in closing, you know, we open the floor up for some comments and some questions, you know. We look at the family system in Islam. Our family system, again, we didn't make it up. You know, the Prophet Islam, you know, taught us the rules, you know, of marriage, you know, and even before marriage, how to select a mate, you know, all of these things. So we have guidance in every area of our lives. You see, a man wants to get married, that's a procedure, so he has to find a suitable mate, so he goes to the guardian, you know, of the sister. You see what I'm saying? He was the guardian, and they discussed, you know what I'm saying, in terms of the marriage and so forth and so on. You know these things. It's a system. You know what I'm saying? You just don't throw yourself on someone to marry you. You know, that's you got to go to the guardian. You know, when we can't give ourselves wishes, have a guardian. The Prophet, you know what I'm saying? Whoever doesn't have a guardian and whatnot, you know, then the sultan of those in the guardian can be the guardian. You see what I'm saying? All right? And a woman cannot marry herself. Well, the woman cannot marry herself, not a guardian, you see what I'm saying? She's a fornicator. It's a guardian. And the guardian is to protect her rights. It's a beautiful thing. It's not a control thing. It's a very beautiful concept of protecting. You know, like if someone wants to marry my daughter, I want him to talk to her on the phone. He get in the bar, they start talking, they go off, develop a relationship, you know, and start talking and get acquainted. No. That ain't how things are supposed to be. That's how things are in the West. You see, but there's a procedure here. Young man interested in my daughter. He sleeps at the mall and he says something special. Western, you know. But he should learn, he should know that he should contact that. If anything, sister, who's your father? If you have a number for him, I can call him. Make arrangement. That's problem. You know what I'm saying? Brother, so something. I saw your daughter, and, you know, I'm interested in my father's name, and we can meet this. Whatever. You see what I'm saying? But this system is set up how the process to protect our families, all right? And then, you know, the rights of the wife, and the rights of the husband, and the rights of the children, all well defined in the sunnah of the Prophet. It's amazing, you know? And how fathers should treat his children, how fathers should treat his wife. You know, all these issues we have today about domestic violence and women abuse, you know, Muslim men abusing their wives, treating them like slaves. How dare you? You messing it up. You're making people think bad of Rasulullah, the Islamic system that he set up for us. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't have women's shelters where women go hide away from their husbands, beating them down. What is this here? And Aisha, the Allah be pleased with her, said that Rasulullah never hit a woman. Never. And you think you're a man. You think you a man, you gotta have this control. I don't know, you ain't have to do that. All you gotta do, like Aisha said, when they asked her, how was the prophet in the house? How was he? She said, oh, he served his family. He served his family. He waited on his family. How many of us wait on our family? How many of us make things easy for our wives? We come home from work, we put our feet up on the stool and demand that the food got to be ready at a certain time. If I don't like it, then I call my wife a name or whatever it can be. These are the things we do. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he didn't like some particular food, he just wouldn't eat it. And he'd say nothing. You see? But again, he served his family. He mended his own socks. You know what I mean? He washed his own clothes sometimes. He said, this is what he did. So he did those things. I got to put that on her. Why isn't my shirt ironed? I have so and so and so and so. You see? But Aisha said these are the things that he did. Right? And I'm not saying that women should do those things, but we shouldn't be all bent out of shape when they're not done to our satisfaction. All right? If we want it done right, we do it ourselves, and it's okay. But the Prophet said, this is what he did. This is how we treat our families. The best of you is he who is best of his wives. The best of you is he who is best. The best of you in character is he who is, again, best of his wife. How good do you treat your wife, man? You see, you know, the man came to the Prophet, you know, a man witnessed the Prophet once, you know, kissing and hugging and being compassionate to his grandchildren. That's what he was saying. And the man said, I don't saw I have 10 children. I don't embrace them like that. I don't kiss them. He said, can I have Allah not put compassion in you? You see? So all of these examples, you know, in the life and the soul of the Prophet teaches us how we should treat our children. And guys, I said, I lived with the Prophet, I served the Prophet for 10 years, and he never said, why would you do such and such? He never scolded me. He never was mean to me. He said, we live on this system. So even our family life and family system, it's full of details. How to live. So the sunnah, or following the Prophet ﷺ, is really a lifestyle. See, as a convert, I love it. I love it. Because, you know, when I look at the Prophet ﷺ, my dad, and I love my dad. I love my dad. He passed away many, many years ago. But I don't remember my dad ever grabbing me and kissing me. I don't remember it. When I learned that the Prophet, as soon as I became a dad, and all my children, they're grown now. Sometimes they're public, I'm embarrassed. They're 40, they did, some of them, you know, they're in their 40s, right? You know, they're 30s, right? And I'll grab them, and I'll kiss them. Oh, you see what I'm saying? I can see it. I think, well, we kiss and we hug. You know, that wasn't a tradition in my family growing up. You see, so I embrace Islam. You see, so I implemented what the Prophet did. So that's what comes to us, that relationship between me and my children. The way it works is beautiful. To hug the children and show that compassion, you know, be a part, be connected in their life. That's what the Prophet was. You see? All right. So you learn how to be a father. That's what I'm saying. You learn how to be a father by following the way of the Prophet. You learn how to be a grandfather, you know what I'm saying? By following the way of the Prophet. The Prophet played with Hassan Hussein all the time, giving the football sometimes. You know, Hassan Hussein be playing, you know, amongst the brothers, and he wasn't mean. He told, go sit down. He would get down from the minbar and go pick up his grandson, hold him in his hand, and come back and continue the football. What do we do? We get mad at the kids and run away from the masjid. Look at the son of the Prophet. You see, sometimes the Prophet will make sajda. You see him singing on one of the benches. He was saying, I have to get on the back of his neck and ride it like a horse. He was staying there a long time. And after the prayer was over, the companion was there. I was like, you made the prayer so long. He said, well, look, my grandson was on my neck playing, and I didn't want to disturb him. Look at the compassion. Teaching us how to be grandfathers, teaching us how to be fathers, teaching us how to be husbands. So the family system is just so perfect. So perfect. You know, so when Allah says you have indeed in the message of Allah, beautiful God. You know, and so alhamdulillah, we need to learn to be more grateful and appreciate, you know, the way of the Prophet, the lifestyle that he left us, you know, the legacy that he left us in his sunnah. Following him, you can't go wrong. You see? And so, alhamdulillah, in closing, you know, I always reflect on Allah Ta'ala. It says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And we are not sent, but it's a mercy to mankind. We all familiar with this ayat, and we all, again, when we look at the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him, you know, he was a mercy to mankind. Right? Everything he touched, everything he connected with in his life, you know, was an experience of those people, you know what I'm saying, of the Prophet's mercy. You see? You know, he was kind and compassionate, you see, to all the people. You see? Most of the time. It was just the best thing. You couldn't get no one better than him, you see? In terms of how he treated, how he interacted with Allah's creation. Let's broaden it. He was a mercy to all of the creation, okay? And we saw his good treatment to his enemies. And remember, the enemies of Allah, the non-Muslims, you know what I'm saying? They're Allah's creation too. So I'll start with that. How he treated the non-Muslim, amazing. When you study his seerah, you study his life, it's amazing. He was real gentle. He won his enemies over to Islam because of his mercy, his forgiveness, his kindness. You know, that's how he won them over to Islam. There was this constant battle. In Mecca, the persecution and the thing they went through. They went to the Prophet and the Sahaba made their hijrah, to Medina. Again, he was battling these people. You see. But the Prophet was always kind and compassionate. Because he was on a mission, you see. He was on a mission. That mission was to spread Islam, to establish the deen. And he had to do it in the way that Allah described, you see. And so Allah says, it is part of the mercy of Allah, your Lord, that you be kind to them. If you are harsh, everybody would run away from you. You see. So Allah is kind, the Prophet said, and he loves kindness. Allah gives you kindness, but he does not give to harshness. So you try, when you're talking to people, you're nice to them and kind to them, people just so happy, they just open up to you. But when you're harsh, they don't want to listen to you. So the Prophet knew that his mission to him is to spread Islam, but if he wants people to listen to him, he got to be kind and merciful. So he set an example. Even the enemies. So the Prophet, here he is, the Prophet in Mecca, being persecuted. And he prayed to Allah, "Oh Allah, bring into Islam the one that you love the most." Or strengthen Islam with the one you love the most. Umar ibn al-Khattab or Abu Jahl. We're familiar with this, right? He prayed. Abu Jahl was an enemy of Islam, persecuted the Muslims, killed some of the early Islam. Yes. Umar ibn al-Khattab, assaulting the Muslims, fighting against the Muslims. In fact, he was on his way to kill the Prophet. Assassinated the Prophet. Hated Islam. The Prophet made dua for his enemies. He made dua for his enemies. Umar became Muslim. That was an enemy before he did. That's why the Prophet said, when you hate, have balance. Have balance. Don't be too extreme in your hatred. Don't be too extreme in your love. You see what I'm saying? When your friend can become your enemy. Your enemy can become your friend. So that people can change. Allah changes hearts. See? Allah changes hearts. So we should be mindful of that. And so this was part of the mercy of the Prophet, peace be upon him. I remember the story when the Prophet was in Medina. Sure, I popped out with his enemies. Right? And I always cite this example, for our brothers who today, who in different parts of the Muslim world, just waging whatever it is they're waging. They call it jihad, people call them jihadists and all that, or extremists, or terrorists, or whatever. The Prophet once in Medina, and the Sahaba was doing reconnaissance without searching, just checking out the land, securing the borders, securing the area, and they captured one of the Prophet's enemies. His name was Mohammad ibn Udal. Mohammad ibn Udal. He was a tribe chief, and he had war with the Prophet. So the Sahaba captured him. He brought him to the Masjid Nabawi. The Prophet sitting there. So as soon as they came in with their prisoner, the Prophet recognized who he was. The hadith doesn't clarify whether, the companion was well, but the prophet smiled, I caught a big fish. They turned before us, we got a big fish there. And so the prophet had the Sahaba to tie up one of the pillars, poles in the masjid. And so the prophet approached him, and he had this dialogue with Mohammad and the dog. He said, "What do you think I should do with you?" And so Muhammad said, "Well, if you execute me, you will be justified. But if you set me free, I have a lot of money and I'll be grateful." Make a long story short, he was trying to buy his way out, but he knew he was in the head of Muhammad and the enemy. He could execute him anytime. Anytime he wanted to. So the prophet had this, kept him there for a few days, went by. 3 days, after the third, fourth day, the prophet came and said, "What do you think I should do with you?" He said, "Well, if you execute me, you will be justified. But if you let me go, I'll be grateful and I have a lot of money." So the prophet told the brother to let him go. Didn't ask for anything. Let him go, free prison. So Mama, you imagine, I'm free. So he breaks, he started leaving. Got on this horse, some narration because he got on his horse and gashed out, and he turned around and came back. And he came back to the prophet or something, and that's it. He said, "Shadoway, in the large, Shadoway, then I'm Muslim." See? He became Muslim. He said, "You was the most hated person to this day. You was the most hated person to me. But today you're the most beloved." See? Let that see this. The kindness of the mercy, it's in him. Yeah? He had an impact. Some of the scholars, they mentioned that those days that Muhammad, even though God was chained up as a prophet's prisoner, he was able to observe the manners of Muslims in their relationship, his brotherhood, and the prophet's way of dealing with the brothers and the compassion. And he watched them pray. You can imagine, he's a pretty good. You see, how they treated him. They did not treat him bad. You see, they treated him good. So he had to reflect upon all of that. He said, "Man," so he became Muslim. Then he became a staunch Muslim too. Okay? And so that's a whole other story about some of the things that he did after that. He became Muslim. To show he was committed. But it's a lesson for us though. You see, the prophet won hearts, man. He didn't cut the man's head off and then take it to Mecca and throw it to Kaaba, to the Mecca and say, "What we do to the enemies," like some of our people today, they capture the laborers and the workers in the land of the Muslims, and they come against jihad, they got prisoners, and they catch them, they cut their heads off, they kill them, and murder them. They have no right to do that, you see. But they're not the Amir of the Muslim, you see what I'm saying? And they have the right to do it. Does the government allow people to come in to work? It's like the government allow non-Muslims to come in quick to work, and you, as a citizen, you mad at them, you think they're enemies, so you capture them, you kidnap them, and you begin to torture them and put them through these things. This is, no. What did the Prophet say about this kind of conduct, these kind of acts that our brothers do today? So we need to bring compassion back to our brothers, man. We need more compassion, man. We've lost it. We're hard. We're hard on each other, even. Every time you turn on Al Jazeera, there's the Muslims fighting in Syria. All the unrest and turmoil. In Iraq, you see? In Afghanistan, you see? They kill non-Muslims, they kill Muslims. A mosque was blown up. It's a Shia Masola. Allah forbade to destroy the churches and the synagogue of the people of the book. You see, so mosques are being blown up. Institutions are being blown up. That's all people who say they're Muslim, they're jihad, they're fighting the enemy. It's terrorism, it's murder. That's what it is. What you harming the people for? Look at the example of the Prophet. Look at his sunnah. See, always showing mercy and compassion to the people. You see, we need to learn from this. And there are many instances, like when the Prophet again, when he, his mercy to his enemies, when he took Mecca, we're proud of that, right? We are proud of that. We're proud of that. We tell the non-Muslims anytime, we're proud of that. Unprecedented. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he came, and we know the story. He forgave the people. He forgave the people that fought against him. And people hide. And some people go to Rasulullah, go to the messenger. I'm sure you forgive. Yes. Maybe less than a dozen people were executed. Walker, or people who had done killed one of the Sahaba's family, and they had a right to qisas. So they were executed by that people. But less than 12 people. Some say less than 6. But all the rest of people, God granted amnesty, forgiveness of people, the mercy. You see? Right after that, they went to the battle of, right after that, they went to the battle of Hunayn. You see? And before the Prophet went about, one of the Quraysh people who hadn't became Muslim yet. Okay? The Prophet asked him, can you loan me some weapons? I need some weapons. And then he knew that he was under the authority of the Prophet. Okay? And he said to the Prophet, are you taking my weapons or you borrow? So the Prophet said, give me the weapon. And he gives it. Okay? I won't let you borrow it. So, the Prophet don't take it. And then after the Prophet took some of the booty, some of the spoils, and gave it to the same man. He did 100 camels. Wow. He gave another 100. He gave another, he gave it 300 camels from the booty. The man was through. Muhammad so generous. Be about it, man. He started telling everybody, this man was generous. See? The Prophet was trying to win hearts. It's the mercy of the Prophet. That's what we should do today. Win heart. The people of Tyre, they stoned him. See? And Jibreel came and told the Prophet, the angels of the mountains are ready to attack and call to destroy their people. And he made dua. See? He made dua for their children, the next generation. Think about it. Not mercy people. People look out for their children. I want you to curse these people. I've not been sent to curse. I'm a mercy. That's how the Prophet, in essence, dealt with his enemies. He showed mercy. To his enemies. And he won them over, man. And I'm telling you, I studied this regularly. Because I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to compare what we do today and what the Prophet did in his battles. You see, the Prophet was not a reckless, terrorist. He was not a reckless warmonger. He wasn't jihad, which is ibadah. That's ibadah. Jihad. It has rules. It's a system. The Prophet put a system in place. A lot of people, they're doing things that the Prophet would do. He didn't do. He told us not to do. So we have to go back to the Sunnah and the way that the mercy to mankind, carried us. So alhamdulillah. And how the Prophet was a mercy to women. We mentioned some things earlier, how he empowered women. And today we abuse. The Prophet loved women. He said, bring 3 things of your world. Not that's one of me. One of them, he said women. He said women and perfume and prayer, the coolness of my eyes. When I asked to shake that because I want to straight dance in it. Sheikh said, it's simple. This is so simple. Understand? And the Prophet said, he are women. That's what I was looking for. Because when you love something, you treat well. He loved women. And I believe he equated it or he included it with perfume. We're not worried about perfume. We want to smell good. It's a good thing. And prayer. It's a good thing. So he put all of them together. Honor the women. Respect for the women. The best amongst you is he who is best with his wife. That's what's family. He was teaching us. See? Right? So he was a mercy to the women. He was a mercy to the children, as we mentioned before. He interacted with the young people. He was kind to them. He would ride on a horse or a camel. We would go out to the jungle with the youngsters. You learn from the day he was hanging out with. He was connecting with the youth. They, the elders, the leaders, we don't connect with the young people. So they all doing what they're doing. But the Prophet was connecting with the young people. And so Muhammad and Jabba was riding in the camel with him. Oh, why? Do you know what rights Allah had over his creation and what rights the creation had over Allah? See? And was Allah's messenger obeyed. And Rasulullah said that the rights that Allah had over his creation is that they worship Allah alone and they don't associate no partner with him. You see? And the rights of the creation of Allah is that if they worship Allah, single out Allah alone, they get out of it, Allah will not punish them. So he taught the young people. This is how he comes to us from a young person. The compassion he had for the youth and the time that he made for the young people to teach them the religion of Allah so they can pass it on to us. You know? Same thing, Ibn Abbas. Another scenario in Hadith, in Bukhari. But Ibn Abbas was hanging out. The Prophet took time to hang out with the kids, teaching them Islam. He said, oh boy, shall I teach you some words? He said, preserve Allah, or be mindful of Allah. See? Allah will protect you. Preserve Allah, be mindful of Allah. All right? Allah will be with you. And on and you ask from Allah. You see? And on, you see? Young boy. The Prophet connected with the young kids. So this was a mercy, the children and the youth. And he had a relationship with the youth. This is the mercy the Prophet gave the Prophet. It's a lesson for us. And the mercy to the animals. You see? We all know the story about the lady who had the cat. She wouldn't let the cat eat. Or let the cat, she didn't feed the cat. She didn't allow the cat to go on its own to feed itself. She kept it tied up. The cat died. The Prophet said, she going in off of that. You don't do that to animals. Other narration mentioned a man, who gave a dog who was thirsty something to drink, and the Prophet said he would get it. See? So again, the treatment of the animals, this is the mercy of the Prophet, the mercy to the widows, I took care of the widows, you see. And he was kind to the widows and the orphans. He always cared. When he got revelation, the first thing Khadijah told him when he came back, he thought that he would be possessed by omens or jinns. When he got revelation, he said, I fear for myself. So she reminded him, no, take it easy. Khadijah, we allow me to be with her. She said, no, you're a good man. You see, you're kind to the poor. You see, you help the widows and the orphans. This is what you're going to do. You see what I'm saying? And so this was the mercy of the Prophet. He took care of women, widows, orphans. And it was a mercy to the Muslims, teaching us the, and this is the last point, teaching us the etiquette, brotherhood. You see? And this is the subject. All of these are subjects by themselves. I'm just trying to summarize it all again in the character, in the lifestyle of the Prophet. The brotherhood. The real brotherhood. It was a mercy, the thing that the Prophet put in place and left for us. But we just threw it away. He said, no Arab is better than non-Arab. See, the Prophet was sent to break. He was sent to break the cycle of racism. In my tribe, he was in a break that, man. And I'm very passionate about it. Growing up in America under racism. The Prophet said, no Arab is better than non-Arab. I think you're better. So no Arab is better than me. I don't know how much Arab he got. I don't know what tribe he's from. You can be from college, it's okay. You see? But he who is not moved forward by his righteousness will not be moved forward by his genealogy. That's what the Prophet was saying. So he broke that cycle. No Arab is better than non-Arab. You see? No white is better than the black. So it's fighting against all the tribal stuff, man. He brought the brothers together. He brought the women together. And the man won't be known that they were. He was the brothers. You see, when he got to Medina, he set it up, so he had Bilal with him, he had Suhaib with him, he had a nice mixture of people, black, white, brown, red. It was all one brotherhood. They were tribal with the Prophet. When he came out, when Abu Bakr, the Lord be pleased with him, made some negative statements about Bilal, the son of a black mother. Oh, it offended Bilal. Offended him. So Bilal was crying to the Prophet. Told the Prophet, I was God. When I read the hadith, brothers, I can imagine the Prophet was like, what? He did what? So when he came to Abdullah, and Abdullah was on his way to see the Prophet, he knew he messed up. So he's on his way to meet the Prophet to try to explain what he did. And he saw that the Prophet didn't even give salams. He didn't say salam alaikum. He said, did you say such and such and such? Yeah. He said, this is your hadith. So he scolded him and reprimanded him. And Bilal, Abdullah felt so bad. He felt repentant, genuine. He said, never I'll be with him. These are companions. He's your predecessor, man. The son of the son. So Abdullah, he was contrite. He was repentant. He said, I really messed up. So he put his head on the ground, told Allah, oh, put your feet on my neck. I am nothing, put your feet on my neck. Humiliate me to make up what I said. Hey, pardon Allah, think about that. Right before the message of Allah. And Bilal said, no, it's okay. I forgive you, man. Because he's right with you like that. See what I'm saying? So the Prophet responded to these kinds of issues, you know. SubhanAllah. This was the mercy. This is the brotherhood he established, Keep us together, keep us loving each other, following the model of the Prophet. And so, and we can go on and on and on about other instances of the brotherhood, but we didn't listen. We didn't listen. Look at today. The Prophet ﷺ said in his farewell sermon, do not become unbelievers after me, cutting each other's throat. And so we look at the Ummah today. You see, we need to change. We need to get rid of the tribalism in the Muslim world, the Asabiyya. We need to get rid of it. We need to develop a real Ummah, become real brothers. You said, learn to love each other for the sake of Allah. You said, learn to get along with each other for the sake of Allah, even with the differences, man. You see, some differences we're not going to resolve. Only on the day of judgment, Allah will show us when we different. Some issues, we have to leave it alone. Some differences have been with us for over 1,400 years. We can't solve it. Russell off my head. To say, no, you're absolutely right. No, you know what I'm saying? On the differences. I'm telling you. Within Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and with others who deviate from that. Got you. And you certainly can't resolve it with the sword. That's the problem. We don't want to resolve it with the sword. We want to fight and kill the group or the people different from us. And why don't we don't live in that kind of world today. You see, listen, take it easy. It's a different world today. Rasulullah not here to add these things. Let's move on. We have to grow up and be mature. As an ummah, you look at the European nation, European Union, if you know history. Before they became European Union, they would fight each other, killing each other. They would fight each other. Enemies. As time went on, they formed the European Union. They sit at the table. Now, we don't know how to sit down as brothers. See, we don't know how to sit down. See, we don't have a Sheikh of Islam. A Sheikh of Islam for the whole woman. Every group had a Sheikh of Islam. Well, can the Sheikh of Islam, can the Sheikh of Islam get together and talk about some of these things and how we can honor certain things? No. He's a kafir, he's a demon. In America, and I'll close. In America, now this is a big subject. I remember years ago, my teacher, Sheikh Yahya Abdul-Kareem, leave me alone, you forgive it, He told us, when you do your dawah, you go out in the street, you're in the public, and you're doing your dawah, you're going to encounter Muslims or so-called Muslims, in particular, he was talking about the Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad, Farrakhan, this is cool. He always taught us, he said, whatever you do, don't talk bad about them in public. Don't demean their leader. Don't do that. Don't do that. We know they're Catholics. We know that. But don't use some wisdom and get around, but don't do that publicly. When we sit amongst ourselves, we can talk about it. We can have our lesson, we can know where they deviated, and etc. But don't do that public. As he said, because the only ones that will benefit from the reaction of that, you say something about them, they react, and y'all fighting. And the only one who will benefit from that is the Kufan. And they're coming out, all the Muslims are, all the claim me, listen, you, the one that got the correct Aqidah, and those who got the incorrect Aqidah, he don't know, he's not interested. He say he Muslim, you say Muslim, you all fighting and killing each other. I'm closing down all the mosques and ain't gonna be no more song here, y'all let me in America. That was my Sheikh's wisdom. And so wherever we never did that. And to this day, I don't do that. I don't speak publicly and start demeaning any of those people. I don't have to. People can see for themselves. When you give a doubt, people know what's the difference between you and them. Explain to it in a nice way. I try to give some credit to some of the good things those people have done in terms of empowering black people. All right? Challenging racism and fighting for the civil rights. Yeah, it's so good. But in terms of even the religious part, we don't. You have some now. That's wisdom. You see? Because it's not, we don't have the permission, you see, what I'm saying, to be able to deal otherwise, you see. And so people are sitting down today. We live in a world today where there should be more dialogue. And you know, people today have a dialogue with the Christians, some people don't like that. We sit down with the Christians. The prophet sat down with the Christians. It's the mercy of our prophet in Medina that the Christians of Matthew coming in last year had a tent built, a tent put up in the last year so they could make their prayers. If someone comes here, God was in the but we don't know. We don't know. The prophet sat with them just to talk with them, dialogue with them. You understand? Okay? And he wasn't sharing beliefs, he was really trying to he was giving dialogue. And that's what they all intended when we read dialogue, to give them dialogue. You see what I'm saying? But the whole idea of exchanging, well, they got along. Because it's good to be in a good relationship, you understand, with other people of other faiths. You know what I'm saying? And not to be angry with that, not to have a harsh spirit, have a gentle spirit. That's the spirit of the prophet. So alhamdulillah, the prophet was merciful, the brotherhood, he was a mercy to all mankind. He was just nice to people. He was nice. And that's how we should be. We change our image, man. You know, we're not violent. We're not terrible. We're nice. We're the nicest people you want to be. That's what it means, inshallah. We should try to think, okay, the character of the prophet, his demeanor, and his manners. This is the sunnah. This is part of the sunnah. I think it's more important today. You know, so much the clothes, our physical appearance, but how we treat people. Learn to value people for what they were. Learn to realize when you interact with non-Muslim, that non-Muslim that you're interacting with is a potential Muslim. Okay? A potential Muslim. Learn to accept the value of every human being. You know what I'm saying? You know, on the basis of the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, this is an authentic narration, but the Prophet, he said, think good of people. So thinking good of people, you see, is a part of ibadah. So why shouldn't you think good of people when all of the human beings are born from fitr? Good. It's the parents that make them a Jew or Christian or that, you say, the environment. So everybody's born on the fitr. The human being is a good person initially. It's just how they grow up and how they're taught. You see what I'm saying? So you always keep that in mind. So let me approach this person. He's a kafir, he's an enemy. All kafirs are not. All kafirs are kafirs, or disbelievers, non-believer, or non-Muslim, but all are your enemy. Everybody's non-Muslim, not fighting against you. They don't know nothing about Islam. They just want to be a nice neighbor, or a nice co-worker. So those people are not your enemies. That's why the prophet, when he died, now closing, when he died with his armor pawned with a Jew. He pawned his armor with the Jew to get some money to feed his family. A Jew still living in or around what? Medina. See? So in spite of Bani Nadir, Bani Qurayza, all the Jewish tribe, that was treasures and brought it into pride. He expelled them, so forth and so on. But there were other Jews that were still around in the opposite process, and still had some interaction with these non-Muslims in and around Medina. You see what I'm saying? It's my point. See, the point is on the show. You see? And so let's be nice to people, and let's follow the sunnah of the Prophet, keep your point, and be nice to people for the sake of da'wah, for the sake of da'wah, so they will listen to us and want to know more about Islam, and so they will become Muslim. So inshallah, any questions? I didn't be so long, inshallah. You got, Mohammad, you got some water? Inshallah. Is there any questions? Feel free. Inshallah. I talked a long time. You know, we talk about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it's okay, we enjoy it. Now, you know, that's Allah. We have so much we have. Allah bless us. We take advantage of it. SubhanAllah. Mercy to all mankind, mercy to all creation. The pure guidance. Allah, yeah, brothers. So I guess if there's no questions, inshallah. Exactly.